there are tales of legendary heists made by legendary clans of legendary thieves. This is not one of those stories. Welcome back to the Heroes of Light and Shadow playthrough, and just an advance warning, this is going to be a long one. Now we start BS Fire Emblem Chapter 3, and one of the trickiest of the bunch, easily, for certain reasons that will become apparent. This one's set only 2 days after the first one, so, yeah, quite a short time gap. But anyway, here, we step into the shoes of the worst master thief of all time. Oh, this is not going to end well. And, well, Rickard's pretty much just, you know, being himself. Compulsive thievery. We also have... and she's going to be the rare voice of reason for this chapter. Yeah, I will say it now, just dialogue-wise, this is probably one of the funniest of all the BS chapters. Well, actually, out of them, 1 and 4 are both incredibly depressing, and 2 is pretty neutral, so I guess... Then again, this one is pretty hilarious, and I've heard it's even funnier with the voice acting. Apparently, I've heard reports that Rickard's Japanese voice is absolutely hilarious. I can imagine it would be, although I've heard he is voiced by a girl, which doesn't really surprise me at all. Uh-oh. You sure it's okay to leave her on her own? And bandit! Oh wow, this reminds me of that area in Mario and Luigi where if you take your eyes off Princess Peach for even a second, she gets kidnapped. I like to call that Elise syndrome. It seems that Lena has it, at least at this point. Okay, admittedly though, the areas outside Arcania Palace are not a nice place to be. And presumably that's because the previous king of Arcania was kind of a bit slack on the whole, you know, law enforcement thing. Yeah, the areas outside the palace is pretty much Norda, and, well, I've already explained how much of a complete hellhole Norda is. But, thankfully, there are at least some nice people here. And awesome people. So, yep, Narbal is back. Which is, yeah, pretty amazing. And this won't be the first time these two interact. Thought for a minute he'd say it's dangerous to go alone. But it looks like we've found our bodyguard. Well, of course, every gang of thieves needs, you know, the brawn. If you've just got Lena and Rickard, well, you're kind of really short in that department. If I'll be honest, they probably need a brains as well. I guess Lena's taking over that role pretty much, but again... we need brawn, and Narbal's gonna have to do, and he does a pretty good job of it. So, anyway, apparently he's expensive, but I guess if we're going to raid the palace treasury, we're probably gonna have no shortage of gold. So, welcome aboard. Meanwhile, in Failsville, we've got another familiar face from the main story. If you know this guy's backstory, you'll know why he has a pretty good reason to join us. You'll see in a bit, but apparently he's begging for water for some reason. When I first read this bit in Japanese, I was kind of freaked out. I was like, what? Castor's dying of thirst? Yeah. Anyway. Now, about the way Castor speaks, some people have assumed that was a typo, him saying me. Yeah, Castor kind of spoke with a bit of an accent in the localization of Shadow Dragon, or at least implied to speak with an accent. For some reason, I always imagined Castor as Cockney. I don't know why, I just kind of do. With the way his dialogue is written. I just kind of imagined him with a slight Cockney accent. But, anyway, I guess other people probably have their theories as to what exactly his accent is. But anyway, yeah, Castor's backstory, if you know why he needs gold, it's pretty depressing. But, for the time being... I already explained it back when I recruited him, But if any of you want to go back and refresh on Castor's extremely depressing backstory, then go to serenadesforest.net and look at the designer's notes page. Yeah, you'll get... Oh boy, it's depressing. Really, really depressing. I will say that Castor is quite possibly the most sympathetic fictional con man I've ever heard of. But anyway, okay, Lena's got Narval here. I don't think Narval actually recognizes Castor and Shadow Dragon when they meet up again in your army. But apparently Rickard saved someone's life. Lena got saved by someone else. Interesting. I wouldn't exactly make that assessment about Rickard. I'm not entirely sure that's right either. You're thinking more Julian that way. Of course, at this point, Lena hadn't even met Julian. And in fact, I don't even know where would Julian be at this time, because Rickard's supposed to be friends with him. And this line coming up. Narval pretty much borders on what TV tropes calls the comically serious in this chapter. Right, I think it's time to get the ball in motion. Oh no. No, please don't tell me Rickard is taking Bentley's role here. Oh, whoa, and I thought we were screwed before. Oh man, this is gonna end really, really badly. And this line. I love that line. I crack up whenever that line comes up. So great. Again, I love this chapter, in terms of dialogue. This is one of the most hilarious chapters in the game, actually. Even including the main story ones. Yeah, it's just really great dialogue here. Speaking of dialogue, there's something I'm probably going to have to mention at some point, because this was the site of a change that happened in one of the revisions of the translation patch. Wow, Lena's pretty... Yeah, she's pretty nice. Oh no, please don't be the plan guy. Oh, Rickard, you are not qualified for the brains position. You're barely even qualified for the thief position. In fact, you're barely even qualified for any position. And this would be make a lot more sense if we had either a slideshow to accompany this or an actual map. Yeah, they've got to stay behind, because they kind of tend to die really, really, really easily. Really easily. Well said, you're awesome. I am so glad we get to use you again. Rickard's still scared of him. Oh dear. Rickard, oh no, you're trying to be Captain Falcon. Don't, stop trying to mimic people more awesome than you. Oh, this chapter is so good. This dialogue, seriously. That's a brutal honesty there. Oh, what can I say? I love this dialogue. Oh no. And it gets even better. Now, random thing about Rickard, one of the novelizations of Mystery of the Emblem actually listed his age as, and I kid you not, 24 to 25. I'm pretty sure this is a joke, because there is no way he can be that old. At least he looks an awful lot less girly than he used to. Oh, wow. And things get even more interesting. Interestingly, yeah, Castor seems to be taking notes here. This is gonna draw into Castor's characterization in Mystery of the Emblem, not so much in Shadow Dragon. It actually seems like Rickard may have been Castor's inspiration for becoming a con man, basically. And now we come to this line right here. Now, if I was able to have easy access to the original version of the translation patch, I would post a screenshot of what the line looked like there. Yeah, this one caused a whole lot of flaming and kind of was essentially forced to be changed by the large amount of, massive amounts of flame it caused. Okay, I'll just say it here. In the original version of the translation patch, the line here was, "Who's going to heal us if we take an arrow in the knee?" Yeah. This was the infamous internet meme reference that got cut out of the revised translation patch, and some people think it's for the better. I admit, that meme tends to get a lot of hate nowadays. I personally still find that meme hilarious, but in my personal opinion, referencing internet memes does not really belong in a Fire Emblem game. Ace Attorney. In an Ace Attorney game, I would expect the translation to reference internet memes. It does that all the time, and it kind of makes sense there, given, the general silliness of a lot of the dialogue, the general tone of the game as well. You also, even the official translations do it there. So again, I'm actually trying my hand at fan translating an Ace Attorney game myself, and when given the choice, I probably would put internet meme references into an Ace Attorney translation. That's just the other game I'm more familiar with, really, that I'm using as an example. But again, you just gotta think like this. Even some Pokemon games, internet meme references are kind of appropriate. You saw a lot of them in the original Diamond and Pearl translation. Fire Emblem, no. Internet meme references, I just don't think they fit in a game generally as serious as Fire Emblem. And, for the most part, well, admittedly, they did manage to sneak in a "My Body is Ready" reference into, Frederick Supports in Awakening, but you gotta admit that was pretty hilarious. But I digress. Anyway, personally, I kinda support this change. Fire Emblem, probably not the kind of game to insert internet memes into. Anyway, back into the action. So, right then, I should also explain that the music playing here, it's one of the themes used for the more comical supports in this game. It, weirdly enough, actually contains, tiny bits of the last map theme. Well, not the actual final chapter map theme, but the one known as Holy War. The one that played earlier actually contains elements of it too. They've also got bits of, liberation in them as well. Generally, the support themes in this game are all made up of little bits of the original game's map themes. This line. Okay, I really like what they did with this line. This line is a really nice callback to something Rickard says to Julian back in Shadow Dragon. He says that Julian was always the type to fall for a pretty face with the right features, here referring to Lena. So, I actually really like that. It's a nice callback. And we will probably never find out exactly why Narbal, has kind of a thing about not hurting women. Apparently, the developers have stated that there is a reason for it. Something did happen in his past that, causes him to sympathize with women in danger, but, they haven't said what it is. So, Castor's taking notes on how to con people. Again though, Castor, probably the most sympathetic con man you'll find, if you know why he needs the money. Seriously. Oh, he has such a depressing backstory. Anyway. Oh, no. Oh, this chapter. Oh, I can't imagine how much more hilarious this would be with voice acting. I would love to find the original voice acting for this. Oh, yeah. Wow. Oh, and Lena's the voice of reason again. This is great. This is really great. Yeah, story-wise, I love this chapter. Gameplay-wise, it has more than a few problems, which you will definitely see in a bit. Anyway. Don't think there's much chance of us getting attacked by Risen at night. This is an Awakening. Oh, wow. I don't have much more to say about the dialogue here. Again, Rickard is very much a kid. Despite the fact that the novel says he's 25, which is completely ridiculous. And again, I still believe it's a joke. There is no way that's his canon age. Right then. Lena's all conflicted now. Oh, yes, and you want to pray to them to protect their weak bodies too, as I will get into the moment we start the chapter. So, we got a whole lot of chests here, a lot of guards, and unfortunately, we can't instant kill sneak attack any of them. Oh dear, this is not going to be good. We've also got a whole bunch of thieves here who had the same idea as us. Don't you hate it when that happens? Oh, this is not going to be good, especially when we've got a frail healer to protect. So anyway, it's the crime of the century, and the ball is in motion. So we have Rickard. As you are probably dreading to hear, Rickard is our lord for this chapter. Oh boy. We also have Narbal. He's just as awesome as always. We also have someone not technically new, but someone we haven't really had a chance to use properly. Yep, just like Nina in BS1, another one of the final chapter damsel in distress clerics finally gets her day in the limelight. In this case, she's back to being a cleric rather than a bishop, and as a result, her growths are actually slightly different to how they were in the final chapter, so she's actually, for all intents and purposes, a totally new unit here. Yeah, so I had to redo her growths because they're actually, again, different to how they are in the final chapter, for some reason. Her growths are, well, they're nothing really that special, but she has great luck and resistance growths. In fact, that resistance growth, not even a lot of priests have growths that high in this game. And again, great luck. So again, she's pretty much a typical cleric. But, her growths don't really actually matter that much, because she's not going to be promoting in this chapter. Well, she's not going to be promoting at all. There is no way you'll be able to promote her here. So, what use does Lena have in this chapter? Well, healing. But, surprisingly enough, healing is not her main use. Yeah, now, Lena is always known, well, has always been known, for the Warp Staff. Back in Shadow Dragon, she joined with one in her possession. And, well, she didn't come with one in this game, but in most of her original appearances, yeah, she came with the Warp Staff, and it's always been an iconic item of hers. In this game, yep, she's still got it, and she's also brought along a new toy. She's got a rescue staff. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a drastic change from the original version of this BS chapter, because in the original Mystery of the Emblem, the rescue staff was exclusive to Yumina. It's kind of the exact opposite now, given it's now E-ranked, and thus any healer can use it. But anyway, Lena's got it. This combination of warp and rescue staffs is part of the reason why it took me so long to find a strategy for this chapter that worked. Because you simply have so many freaking options. Every turn, you have the ability to send any one of your other 3 allies anywhere on the map. You also have the ability to call them back to you at any time. That gives rise to an infinite variety of possible tactics. And again, because of that, finding out a good strategy for this chapter is really tricky. You can pretty much do anything with this combination of staffs, and again, this chapter, you can be really creative here. So, again, please don't copy my strategy. Try and figure out something. I found out something that worked for me, but seriously, this combination of warp and rescue staffs gives you a huge ton of options here. I mean, practically infinite, and yeah, you can really do anything you want here, go anything you want. Well, I would recommend not warping someone into the giant guard room, because they will probably die. But other than that, you're pretty much safe wherever you warp anyone, really. And it also means that no chest on this map is safe from Rickard. You could just warp him to any of them. Now, speaking of chests, Lena actually is going to help us get the chests. Well, firstly by teleporting Rickard around the place, but there's another reason she's going to be helpful. Of course, it's going to be a little while before we get that item. When we do get it though, Lena's really going to be useful. Also a colliery. Expect Lena to make up the vast majority of your experience rank in this chapter. Healers level up incredibly fast in both this game and Shadow Dragon, I found. And the starve she has, combined with her starting at such a low level, but to put it in perspective, she gets 50 experience for warping someone once. Yeah. You're going to end up probably, just using Lena liberally, you will end up with a massive experience rank for this chapter. She's probably going to contribute to about 80% of that. So, yeah, that's another reason she's good. So anyway, Lena, she's really, really amazing. Unfortunately, like all healers, she's frail and you're going to have to keep her protected. Of course, unlike in the main story, her frailty is actually the rule rather than the exception. Yeah, the other people who you're going to have to rely on to protect her are almost as bad as she is, frailty-wise. I'm going to discuss that in a few seconds. So, yeah, we got Lena with her warp and rescue staffs, and we have Castor and Archer. And here's where we run into a bit of a problem. You see, this chapter is quite tricky, for several reasons. The biggest one being, all 4 of the characters you start with have absolutely horrendous durability. Including a main lord. See those regular generic enemy thieves? They 3-hit kill you, at worst. Yikes. And see those armors? You want to stay well out of their range to start with. If they spot you, yeah, you're gone. No one in your party can survive even 2 hits from those guys, and no one in your party can really scratch them. Here, though, we have a bunch of enemy thieves, along with... Uh-oh. This guy certainly looks like bad news, but that item he's carrying does look appealing. Meet... As you've no doubt figured out by now, he has an armor slayer, and we're going to need it. We also have here 2 familiar faces if you've seen the main story. We got Dice, the big fighter with the awesome moustache and the devil axe, and Malice. Yeah, her name has recently been changed. She recently got an official name as an awakening. I will be referring to her by that from now on, so ignore her name tag. She is Malice now. And it's a pretty badass sounding name, I will admit. Certainly falls into the names to run away from really fast category. Right then, I'll explain my strategy here. I want to stop those thieves from getting to the chests, because if they start plundering them, we're not going to be able to do much about it. Now, most of the items you can get back, but there is one particular resource that you actually will not be able to get back, and thus is lost forever if a thief claims it. You'll see what it is when the enemies start moving. Anyway, my strategy here is to warp Narval right into the boss's path. Don't worry, the thieves do very little damage to him. He can just stand there and take it like a man, really. He can't double them, but he'll be able to get the kills on his phase. He 2-hit KOs all the thieves, which is pretty nice. That's why you want to let them all attack him on the enemy phase, so that you can finish them off on the player one. And now we're introduced to Dice and Malice, the father-daughter mercenary duo. I'll talk more about them a little bit later. They'll, again, come into play on what I like to call the second phase of the map. Phase 1 is dealing with the initial rush of thieves. So, basically, introducing, since this was actually their original debut, yeah, the Fire Emblem series seems to like this sort of trope. You know, the mercenaries who, or mercenary, usually it's only singular, who don't like their current employer and are willing to switch sides if you've got enough gold. So we can't actually do anything about these two now. We'll have to come back when we're a little bit richer. And there I am going on making internet meme references in a Fire Emblem game. I said I wouldn't do that. Okay, with that line, yeah, you do not want to get close to those two. I made the mistake of accidentally warping Narval much further down in my initial attempt at this, and he was in range of Dice. That killer axe has ridiculously high accuracy. Yeah, you really don't want to be on the receiving end of that. Then there's Malice. She has a Thunder Sword, Levin Sword, sorry, going by its original name there, stupid me, and a Lady Sword. Now, she actually didn't have that in the original BS version of this chapter. She actually just had 9 swords, so her inventory is greatly improved. Now, back to the situation of Rickard the Failure. You'll see here that I used the strategy I mentioned back in the last BS chapter. When you don't have anywhere to hide, use the edge. Make use of the edge of the map to restrict your enemy's lines of attack. By doing this, I've made sure that Rickard, I almost called him Rickard for a second. Don't do that, do not confuse Rickard with awesome people. Rickard is awesome. And I do not want to, confuse him with Rickard. Anyway, okay, yeah, you probably already know what happened the one time of my attempt when Castor missed that shot. Yeah, Rickard can't survive 3 thieves in one turn, so I rigged it last turn so only 2 could attack him. Speaking of can't survive multiple attacks, well, would you look at that? Boss is out of here already. Yeah, TV Tropes lists this guy as an anti-climax boss. Yeah, I can kind of see why. He goes down in 2 hits really easily. And of course, being both a thief and a boss, he gives an enormous amount of experience. Narbal usually gains strength on that level up. Phew, you can kind of let the thieves swipe that chest because it's just a vulnerary, and you can get it back anyway. Right, this guy has got a death wish. Something about this chapter that's really good for your experience rank, Thieves. They give massive amounts of experience. Phew, that was close. If it weren't for that, Narbal may have been rescued immediately. Rickard's gonna kill this guy on a counter, isn't he? You know, as much as I don't like Rickard gaining experience, sometimes it's unavoidable, you know. Wow, he got defense. Not like that's gonna help him. 4 is still pretty awful. Anyway, Lena just got attacked, but that's, you know, not that bad. If this was FE1, Lena would have gained 20 experience points for being attacked, and that would have been the only way she could level up. Yeah, yeah, the first game made several, questionable decisions when it comes to, everything, really. Kind of like Pokemon Red and Blue in that fact. The first game in the series that went on to become so popular has not aged well. Right then. Now you might notice, why the hell am I putting Narbal there when he's so badly injured? Turns out that, one of the thieves will only do 3 damage, and the other will do 4. This means he can safely, tank a hit from one thief, kill him on the counter, and stop the other thief from getting the chests. Yeah, you want to stop the thieves from getting chests, for reasons that I'll explain when I get the chance. For the time being, let's finish off this guy. Unfortunately, this is going to attract the attention of this guard. Unlike certain other series about Master Thieves, these guards are not short-sighted in the least, and that's really annoying. Yeah, these guys are actually kind of smart. Also, when you're going for the heal, remember to actually not accidentally warp someone. Or worse, don't accidentally heal someone when you want to warp them. I did that at one of my practice runs. It did not end well. Ow. Yeah, I don't like that guy. See? Only 3 damage. He can take it. Okay, soon we'll be done with the initial rush of thieves. Now, I still haven't quite figured out a reliable way to take out that middle thief. It's really annoying because, technically speaking, I could warp someone up there to deal with him. But if I do that, then that someone will be in range of 2 guards, and that'll spell almost certain death. Right. Hey, Narbal's actually doubling thieves. Awesome. Unfortunately, there's only 1 thief left on the map, so that's not really all that great. At least it'll help him not be doubled by Malice. Yeah, we'll have to deal with them soon. But firstly, let's exploit the fact that despite the fact these guards aren't short-sighted, they do have short movement ranges. Very short movement ranges. Let's exploit that, shall we? I'm running away from you, you can't hit me. Okay, we need to rescue Narbal now because his work up there is done, and we're gonna need his armor slayer down on the lower front. Okay, now the initial rush of thieves is over, I can start talking about, Phase 2. Right, I should talk about this! Well, I forgot this even happened. That was amazing. Wow, Lena, you are amazing. Yeah, this chapter is not, I'm convinced this chapter is not full of failures. You are amazing, wow. Oh, I can't stop gushing about that, really, because, Lena is now tied with Mary Sue for the best level up in this entire playthrough, which is actually kind of sad, admittedly. Right, this last thief, I will probably be able to stop him getting to the top chest. He's gonna get the second last one, though. Narbal, now that he has Duck Can Opener, he can smash these, armors. Unfortunately, they still do quite a lot of damage to him, so he's still not the best armor killer you got on this map. You know, no, we'll get a great armor killer later on, but Narbal's still great for what he does. Wow, he's leveling up a lot. He's still not gaining strength, though. That's really annoying. He gained a lot of strength in my practice runs. I mean, his strength growth is pretty good, but at least he's gaining speed and... Right, let me talk about those chests with 200 gold. You might be thinking, why do I need gold in this chapter? Well, okay, a little bit of a tangent here. That chest there contains a steel bow. Obviously, Castor is the only one on your team who can use that, but that is pretty good, and with that, he can finally do something other than just tickling enemies. Right there. Okay, gotta be careful, gotta be careful, gotta be careful here. Anyway, those 200 gold chests, let me explain how they work. For each 200 gold, you get 20 points towards your funds rank at the end of the chapter. Unfortunately, if an enemy thief swipes the gold, there is nothing you can do. It's gone forever and you can't get it back. So, yeah, I am not going to get a perfect funds ranking in this chapter, annoyingly. I still don't know how to stop this guy. If anyone here knows a good strategy as to how to stop this guy before he steals all the gold. Anyway, we also grab that master key. This means that people who aren't Rickard can join in on the chest opening fun. So, that's going to help us. Good thing I had Castor get that. In my practice run, Rickard himself obtained that, so it was kind of useless. Right, give that steel bow to Castor. Now, the gold. The gold serves another important purpose. Right then, let's warp Rickard over here, because he's going to need to have some fun grabbing those chests. When we have the chance. Got to watch out for that armor up there. I'll only be able to open 2 chests before I have to send Rickard back. Because Rickard can only take 1 hit from that guy, so yeah, that's not good. So anyway, the gold. Another use of the gold is, as you will probably guess, recruiting Dice and Malice. Those two can be recruited by speaking with Malice, with Rickard, once you've obtained 500 gold. Now you might notice that the chests actually contain multiples of 200, which means that you actually can't get an even 500, you actually need to get 3 lots of 200, so a total of 600 gold, before you can recruit the pair. That'll leave you with 100 gold for yourself. Now, also note, this is kind of interesting, recruiting Dice and Malice with this gold actually lowers your funds ranking, because it costs you gold. This is interesting, I'll talk more about this at the end of the chapter, but first, see this chest that I just warped Rickard to? This chest is very, very, very vital, and wow, you're getting really good, Lena. This chest is vital. Let's see what's in it. A thief staff. Remember when I said that Lena could help opening the chests? Yep. This is what's going to do that. It's ranked E, so Lena can use it. Again, this one was also Umina exclusive in the original Mystery of the Emblem. So, wow. Oh boy, how has she fallen from grace. So anyway, I can confirm that Thief Staff did not exist in the original BS version of this chapter, so there have been quite a few improvements in the remake. There's actually been one significant downgrade since the remake too, and I'll talk about that when Dice and Malice join. It relates to them. But anyway, we should be ready to move forward a bit. This guy here is going to attack Rickard. Rickard can barely scratch him, unfortunately. And if you might be thinking, hey, Rickard can use that Armor Slayer. No, he can't, sadly. The Armor Slayer is C ranked, and Rickard is stuck at E. There is no way he is getting to C by the end of this chapter, so you're just going to have to live with the fact that he won't be able to damage the guards at all. See? Master Thieves in training, this is why you invest in a stealth takedown move. So much better than trying to scratch guards with a tiny dagger. Anyway, I tried to move Castor here and... Well, we better get Rickard out of danger. Let's grab this one. Okay, that's 1/200. We're 1/3 of the way to recruiting Dice and Malice. Let's rescue him now, shall we? He's not going to be able to handle that situation on his own. Quick getaway staff, go! They realise just how good the rescue staff is for thievery. Although I bet Lena doesn't approve of that. Now, once you've provoked one of the guards, they will actually constantly move towards you. They won't move at all until then. But anyway, Lena now has the thief staff. Using this, she has free reign over the chests. She can pick any 5 chests and grab their contents for herself. I prefer to grab the 5 in this room. And another 200. One more and we'll be able to recruit Dice and Malice. Now, the reason I prefer that is because sending Rickard into that room is tantamount to suicide. Don't do it, seriously. Now, another weird thing about this chapter, which I'll probably talk more about later, but this is in fact a rout mission. Really? Yep, it's a rout mission. I'll just grab another chest here. And we have 600. That means we've got enough. So, here we've got to lure Dice and Malice towards us. Rickard talks to Malice and recruits her, and she talks to her pops, and everything's all fine and dandy. Provided no one takes a devil axe to the face. So, what I want to do is lure both of them in the same turn. That, unfortunately, means Narbel is going to have to tank a Lady Sword hit. Lady Swords hurt. Now be sure you stay on the very edge of Dice's range. That means he can only get you with the hand axe. Hopefully, he will miss. And interestingly enough, he has battle quotes as if he was a boss. You're a hired axe, actually. But anyway. Okay, please miss, please miss, please miss. Yeah, if that had hit, we would have been in trouble. Damn this game's evasion formula. But anyway, Malice is onto us. And she's going to whack us in the face with a Lady Sword, which... Ow! Whoa! Narbel is doing surprisingly little damage. Okay, that guy's still coming. And it's recruitment time. Yeah, this is going to cost us 500 gold, but it's worth it. Without these two, beating the map is much, much harder. Because, like I explained, this is a rout chapter. I have no idea why, and that's actually uncharacteristically unthievery. You know, I mean, wouldn't you want to just get in, grab the treasure, and get out? Not get in, grab the treasure, and massacre everyone who stands in your way? Yeah. So, basically, yeah, you've got to get rid of all the enemies. That includes the massive clump of guards in that other room. And Dice and Malice are really your main shot at doing that. Now, Malice, I will talk about her when we actually recruit her. She has a really interesting thing about her that is really, really awesome. You'll see. In fact, Malice is just pretty awesome in general, really. And... oh, yeah, sure you're not a kid, Rickard. Yeah, in fact, you're 25. You know what? I think, Rickard claims to be 25. Yeah, that's where I think that originated from. Anyway, so, these guys cost 500 gold, which actually docks our funds ranking by 50 points. I'll explain later and whether or not that's actually worth it, but, it's kind of interesting, really. So anyway, Malice is on side. Now she can go talk to, Pops and get him on side too. So, Dice and Malice. Let me talk about them for a little bit. They debuted in this chapter, but Malice in particular became really popular, especially with the developers. She's gotten a much bigger role than any of the other BS exclusive characters, even her own father. She got an expanded role in the downloadable chapters in this game, where it's explained that she's got a history with Ogma, she ended up appearing in Awakening as a Spot Pass character. Interestingly enough, representing the Mystery of the Emblem, despite the fact that she did not appear in the original Mystery of the Emblem at all. Yeah, Malice is a true example of a breakout character, and it's not hard to see why. I mean, just look at her. Her design just exudes awesomeness, really. Not to mention she's a female mercenary, and the fandom just loves female mercenaries. Which is understandable given how rare they are in the series. Unfortunately, that rarity extends to this game. Malice has been switched to a Myrmidon for this one. She was a mercenary in the original BS Fire Emblem, but then again, Narbal was in that game too, because the Myrmidon class didn't exist. Even then, yeah, Malice really probably fits the mercenary build much more than Myrmidon, and I'm very glad that Awakening switched her back to female mercenary. I guess in this game, they really just didn't, you know, if they'd made Malice a female mercenary, they would have had to have given all females the option to reclass to mercenary, and that probably would have been more trouble than it's worth. Anyway, we get a physics staff there. Nice one, that. That'll, certainly help Lena heal better. Now, speaking of Lena and the Thief Staff, here's something kind of crucial. You need to make sure that Lena's inventory doesn't get too overloaded when she's using the Thief Staff. Because otherwise, if she's got a full inventory and she Thief Staffs an item, she will have to throw away one of her items. Yeah, in BS chapters you don't have a convoy, which is a bit weird because in the original BS Fire Emblem, you actually did have a convoy. It used the Lords equals convoy system, that I believe... Correct me if I'm wrong, but the first game I remember that used that system was Sacred Stones. But anyway, the original BS actually did have a convoy. This one doesn't. It kind of makes sense that you wouldn't have a convoy for such a small band of, you know, hired mercenaries and thieves. Anyway, only 2 more shots of the staff left. Be sure to give one of, again, be sure to give one of Lena's items to someone else before you use that thief staff. Otherwise, if she swipes an item, like this, yeah, you wouldn't want to throw away something just for a vulnerary. So, alright then, now let's give that physics staff. Yeah, I was meant to give the physics staff back, stupid me. Right then, Dice and Malice, Dice and Malice. Got a few things to say about Dice, but first I'll finish talking about Malice. Yeah, I still think, yeah, female mercenary really suits her. In fact, I'd argue that she's quite possibly a female member of the Ogma archetype. So yeah, that's always pretty cool. Well, that thief staff serves us well. No reason not to break it, really, because, you know, items don't carry over after this chapter. There's still quite a few chests left, but since that area's in the clear, we can safely walk Rickard over there. Now we need to deal with some guards. And so, right. Let's just talk about the role Malice serves from a gameplay perspective here. She comes with some very nice weapons. She can use that Armor Slayer, but in all honesty, she doesn't really need to. That Levin Sword hits the armors on their resistance, which is non-existent. So it does pretty good damage. Her Lady Sword actually has the same effective might as the Thunder Sword does. Stop doing that, me. Levin Sword. And finally you gain strength. Essentially, yeah, Lady Sword has the same effective might I've calculated as that thing, hitting on the armor's defense as opposed to the resistance, but it does 1 lower damage because of weapon triangle, so, yeah. Another 200 gold. More gold for the poor, and more for our funds ranking. So anyway, Malice has one interesting thing about her that I'll explain later. Let me explain Dice for a little bit. Now, Dice's role here, he's got weapon triangle advantage over the armors. His defense is not the best. Despite his high HP, he's not actually that good of a tank. But he's good for just general nuking. Like that. Oh, looks like Dice took a gamble and paid off. Totally in character for him. Of course, his high level means he doesn't get much experience, so using him hurts your experience rank a little bit. You will need to a bit. Now, you might notice that he does come with the Devil Axe. I don't like to use this. In one of my practice runs, you can guess what happened. Yep, Devil Axe suicide. Now, given that he only starts with 5 luck, that means the Devil Axe has a 26% chance of backfiring on him. Since he usually does around 19 damage with it, ouch. You do not want that Devil Axe to backfire on him. And that's why, yeah, I've come too far already. I mean, wow, this chapter's already gone on for about, what, 30 minutes? I seriously don't want to have to lose everything just because Dice kamikaze himself with that Devil Axe. At least there's no walls for you to Devil Axe wall kill yourself. Anyway though, yeah, Dice. Yeah, don't gamble with him, seriously. You don't want to have to restart this chapter just because, again, he decided to gamble and the Devil Axe said no. Now, Malice, look at this. Yep, she takes 5 damage from those armors. Only 5. Wow. Malice, for some reason that I really don't know why, has the best durability out of your entire party in this chapter. Yeah, really. It's surprising, but she's awesome for it. She's actually your best tank for this map. I'm not kidding, a Myrmidon is in fact your best tank for this one, which is probably why I think she should have been a mercenary instead. But anyway, she's got 9 base defense, which is much higher than anyone you've got here. And yeah, she only takes about 5-ish damage from armors, which is really good. That's with the weapon triangle advantage on their side, by the way. That's amazing, quite frankly. So, Malice has an interesting niche here. She fills the role of your tank. You wouldn't expect that by looking at her, but she does. Of course, you probably want to equip that Levin sword just to do, you know, good damage to those armors. Unfortunately, she's at this point 1 shy of 1 round KOing them. And that's a bit of a problem. Yeah, quite a problem. And given that her magic stat is not going to increase very much, yeah, not really that good of an idea. Yeah, there should have been a spirit dust in this chapter somewhere. If there was, she would be 1 round KOing. Speaking of 1 round KOing, Narval, with that energy drop, can now 1-hit KO the guards. That's pretty amazing, but he can't take hits himself. He's only got 6 defense compared to Malice's freaking 9. Seriously, that's amazing by Myrmidon standards. I mean, I remember Rad back in Shadow Dragon had surprisingly high defense for a Myrmidon too. Then he got nerfed in this game. Speaking of nerfs, let me tell you something about DICE. While the majority of characters in this game got a massive buff to their growth rates compared to the original Mystery of the Emblem, DICE actually had his growths nerfed quite considerably. Let me just tell you his growths. In the original BS Fire Emblem, DICE had 50% growths in strength, skill, and speed. Now I know 50% strength is not good for a warrior, but it's still pretty decent, and 50 skill and speed is pretty great. But the biggest thing, he had a 50% defense growth as well, which is freakishly amazing for a fighter or warrior, and a 70% luck growth. Yeah, DICE was pretty freaking amazing back in the original, Yep, I'm just reading off Serenade's Forest. He did in fact have a 50% defense growth. I was worried I was actually not getting that right, but yeah, 50% defense growth. And a 70% luck growth. If DICE had kept those growths in the main story, he might have actually been really good. Unfortunately now, DICE's growths are far less stellar. Let me just look it up. Yep, he's got 60% growth in strength, but the rest of his have suffered pretty considerably. DICE now only has 45% skill and 40 speed, a bit less. His defense has taken a huge dive to only 15%, and his luck has gone down to 40%, which is decent, but nowhere near 70%. Then again, given that DICE is a compulsive gambler, I guess it makes sense for his luck growth to change between games. So anyway, DICE, funnily enough, is actually quite a lot worse than he was in the original BS Fire Emblem. Malice too was actually a tiny bit better in terms of growth in that game. So it's weird, they've actually both been nerfed a little bit. And now, Narval can one and kill these guys. Now comes the annoying part of the chapter. We have to slowly lure and kill each and every one of these 10 Delurian guards in that room. Trust me, if we rush in there, we are gonna die. Not even Malice can survive all of them at once. So, anyway, this is... yeah. Okay, let me just get out of the way, the last few things I want to say about this chapter. Yeah, I've kind of got a love-hate relationship with this one. Story-wise, probably the most hilarious of all the BS chapters. Gameplay-wise, you start with a whole bunch of people with really bad durability, and if you don't plan your first turn perfectly, someone is going to die, guaranteed. I have a lot of footage for the fail channel on this chapter, and even more off-camera failures. Yeah, I had to do an awful lot of practice runs before I finally cracked this map, so to speak. I wasn't going to resort to a walkthrough here, because I prefer to do my own strategies with Fire Emblem, and for Advance Wars as well. Yeah, I generally don't look for turn-by-turn walkthroughs. It kind of kills the fun of it. Part of the fun of Fire Emblem, I find, is, and Advance Wars as well, is figuring out strategies yourself. You're supposed to be doing 10, not 9. So, anyway, it took me a while to crack this one, but once I did, I had an okay time. Now, I will already say this, I really had a terrible rank of speed here, but I don't really care. I care more about experience and kind of being okay in the funds rank. I think I got all the chests with the 200 gold apart from a couple that one of the thieves got. But other than that, well, I'm pretty pleased with myself. You'll see my ranking when I get to the end of this one. And as for stuff on the love side of the love-hate relationship in this chapter, the music. I haven't had a chance to talk about this music before, but wow. Oh, yeah, I love this music. This map uses For Liberty, the second map theme from Shadow Dragon. And probably by far one of my favourite tracks in all of Shadow Dragon. Not just that, it's one of my favourite map themes in the whole series. Seriously, again, I love this map theme. I can't get enough of it. I think I almost made this theme my ringtone at one point, actually, on my mobile. Really, I actually did. It's, wow. Actually, random, bit of a note there. Currently, my mobile phone ringtone is, Awakening's, Conquest Ablaze. So, yeah, whenever someone calls me in real life, I get that blaring in my phone, and I really love that. It's awesome. Anyway, that was a bit of a weird tangent. So yeah, music. Also, speaking of music, I haven't had a chance to say this, but you'll probably notice that, the BS chapters use the player and enemy phase battle themes from Shadow Dragon, just like the prologue of this game did. I believe in the original BS version, they actually use the, player and enemy phase theme from Mystery. So, yeah, a bit of a change there, and, I guess now it's leveled up, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'd prefer if that hand axe weren't quite so weak. I remember hand axes kind of hitting harder in Awakening, but that's because strength stats in higher were, you know, in general, were pretty amazing. Warning! Incoming Awakening tangent! Yeah, I especially like the Vake destroying things with hand axes, especially given that I shipped him with the Cordelia, and that tended to give a pretty massive strength bonus, and wow, they were completely annihilating things all across the map. Those two made an awesome team. Still haven't recruited the Severa yet, but I presume she's going to be awesome too. I'm kind of going to have to grind for Axe Fair though, because dang it, I'm going to have to train Vake 15 levels of Berserker in, so, yeah, I've used an awful lot of Entomb. That was the Japanese name of that chapter. Exponential Growth. I've used an awful lot of that over the course of me playing Awakening. Anyway, this is not Awakening. This is BS Fire Emblem, and we have 4 more armors to go. At this point, we can probably safely go in there. We don't want to rush, because, yeah, we want to keep healing every turn, though, because, again, keep getting that experience for Lena, and, yeah. Wow, she started at level 3, she is now 12. Yeah, you can see why I said that she, tends to contribute to the vast majority of your experience rank. Seriously, in the DS games, healers level up freakishly fast. I mean, really freakishly fast. I always remember in Shadow Dragon, Lena would always be level 20 long before I had any Master Seals. So she had to be stuck not gaining any experience for quite a while until I found one. That was kind of weird. A bit of a stark contrast to the original FE1, where healers would probably never ever get a chance to gain experience at all, because, again, in that game, the only way they could gain experience was to be attacked by an enemy. At least they gained about 20 each time, though, unlike Merlinus in Fire Emblem 6. I swear I have no clue what those people were thinking when they thought it was a good idea to make it so that, oh hey, he's got ridiculously good growths, but the only way he can level up is to dodge enemies. He gains 1 experience per dodge. Yeah, good luck leveling up that guy. Oh, wow. 99, you're kidding me. I'm gonna have 2 characters in this map with 99 experience. Oh, I hate that. Well, at least every experience point counts towards your experience ranking. Speaking of which, I'm having Dice get a little bit of attacks in, even though Malice is gonna finish the job, simply because, you know, I'll be getting a tiny bit of extra experience. So, bye-bye, and we can finally say goodbye to this map. I can safely say, mission complete. Whoa! Who's this guy? Certainly did not expect the Drustian Inquisition. Yeah, when I first played this chapter, I'd in fact never finished it before. This was actually one of the only BS chapters I never actually finished myself, and I had no clue that this guy would show up in the ending. I expected the ending to be comical like the rest, but interestingly enough, this chapter's story takes a turn for the serious now, given that that guy's shown up, and because of that, this means that Kamur the Sable shows up in 3 out of 4 of the BS Fire Emblem chapters, which essentially makes him the kind of unofficial protagonist of the mini-series. Then again, Kaga, the original creator of the series, did say that he wanted to expand on the backstories of Kamur and Mishalis, so BS Fire Emblem did focus on Kamur essentially. Mishalis ended up getting his backstory fleshed out in this game, so again, Kaga kinda got his wish. Again, yeah, that guy's awesome. So sad that he's retired from making games. So, this is bad. We've been caught by the most awesome knight on the entire continent. This is not a good idea. Yeah, I could tell this was going to end badly. Yeah, blame Rickard for coming up with the plan in the first place. You know, if we had a better, brains of this operation, they would have devised a way to get this guy out of the way somehow. Or at least, I don't know, Fire Emblem Universe wouldn't have bugs. I don't know, use some kind of magical listening device to put in this guy's office to figure out when he's going to come out of his quarters. I seriously don't know why a certain other series featuring Thieves was obsessed with putting bugs in antagonists' offices, but I guess it is cool and you get to listen in on a lot of hilarious conversations. But that's totally not relevant to this game. So anyway, at least good thing we've got Lena, the voice of reason. She looks like she's going to be able to convince this guy to let us go, which is, phew, that's good, because we certainly don't want these guys to be taking Graticus to the face. Given that this place is now under you know, it really says something when the English dub of the Fire Emblem OVA actually could not figure out, even they did not know how to pronounce that, the name of Medius' empire. they couldn't even pronounce it properly. Anyway, so, Alena's going, talking about how, questioning whether he's just their pawn. And he openly admits that's the case. Yeah, this guy's kind of got a whole tragic hero thing going. His fatal flaw being his incredibly illogical loyalty to his country, even when it's clear they're kind of ridiculously corrupt. Then again, you gotta admire him for being a loyal knight to the end, but still, his loyalty does kinda border on stupidity sometimes, and it gets a little annoying. Then again, he was the first of the whole knights loyal to their country who can't be recruited archetype of the Fire Emblem series. Or was he? So, anyway, well, if Lena can't do it, trust Nina to be able to convince that guy. Well, because as we know, Nina, well, he kind of, well then. Is this supposed to be a secret? Can I say that he kind of has a crush on Nina? Wait a minute, I just said that, didn't I? Oh, dang it. Looks like the secret's out then. Yeah, we'll find out more about that in, BS 4 when it becomes a major plot point, and thus a major plot point in Shadow Dragon, and actually a major plot point in Mystery of the Emblem as well, despite Kamur not appearing at all. Or did he? So, yeah. Nina tends to have a lot of people falling for her, and that kinda came back to bite the entire world epically. It's not her fault though, really. I mean, both of them were pretty nice guys. It's kinda sad what ended up happening. Blame Garneth. I certainly do. So, anyway, looks like Kamur the Sable is letting us go. This is... Yep. Sorry, I've kind of run out of things to say here. So, yeah, this is pretty much the end of the chapter, and, this is also kind of a setup, in a way, for the next one. It's kind of weird. The chapter starts out with Rickard as the main character. At the end, it's shifted to this guy, to Kamur the Sable as the main character, and he became actually the main point behind the whole chapter, which is a bit strange. It's, yeah, again, started off comical, ended up shifting to serious. No pun intended. Wow, I just spoiled the game, didn't I? Not like it wasn't obvious anyway. Oh, you'll see in the next chapter, you'll see. So anyway, the ending is completely devoted to Kamur. So, looks like Rickard was basically just a bit part in the end. Kind of fitting, given that he's, like I said, the worst Master Thief in existence. We'll find out soon. So, let's check out our rank, shall we? Oh boy, that's a bad speed rank. Whoa, that's a good experience rank, and I actually ended up with a higher score than any of my other chapters. That's interesting, despite me totally fudging the speed ranking. I kinda knew I'd do that. I'm sure there are much more faster ways to clear this chapter. Anyway, perfect score for survival, not perfect for funds. Okay, so let me explain the rankings for this one. For speed, the maximum value here is 200, and 5 points are deducted every turn past turn 5. Although, seriously, there is no way you are clearing this chapter in 5 turns. Yeah, there's absolutely no way you're going to do that. So, I really don't think it's possible to get a perfect score there. Funds? Now, funds is the most interesting one of this chapter. For the funds ranking, you get 20 points for each chest containing 200 gold. So, 10 points for every 100 gold. Basically, your gold divided by 10 is how much points you get. But it says here, though, that note that recruiting Dice and Malice actually reduces your score here by 50, because she takes 500 gold for herself. So here, I would have got 160 points here if I didn't recruit Dice and Malice. However, the survival ranking, this is still 20 points for each character recruited and alive by the end. Yes, recruited. Recruiting Dice and Malice adds 2 extra lots of 20 to your total. Without them, you can only get a maximum of 80. So, yeah, recruiting them is quite important if you want a good survival ranking. I got the perfect score here because of recruiting them. Now, you might be thinking, hey, wait a minute, isn't recruiting them a rip-off? Because they take 50 of your funds points, but you only get 40 survival points in return. Well, yeah, that kind of is a rip-off. Except for the fact that if either one of them levels up even once, you're guaranteed to break even, and you'll probably get even more than that. Not only that, but it's very difficult to complete this map without them, and if you do try and complete this map without them, it's a rout chapter, which means you'll have to kill both of them, and that's not very nice, is it? So, yeah, I prefer to recruit them, but it's really your call. Experience? Experience is the same as always, but oh boy did I get a good experience rank here. Again, I reckon Lena accounted for about 80% of that. Seriously, again, she went from level 3 to about level 12. Wow. So, anyway. So, yeah. That's this chapter over. A pretty solid score as well, if I do say so myself. My scores have actually been steadily improving over the chapters, which is interesting. So, I'll see you then next time for the thrilling conclusion of BS Fire Emblem.